Hi, YouTube. So this isn't going to be news by the time this video gets out, but I do have feelings and I do have things to say, so let's get into it. I just got back from the gym. I haven't even showered. I am stinky and angry and I have feelings, and so here we go. Let me just start by saying this is not much of an anti-Trump or like a politically charged video as much as this is about basic human rights, as much as this is about trans lives, as much as this is about our youth and my concern for our youth. So for any of you who are going to try and get your feelings all caught up in and being like anti-Trump or whatever, like I don't even know why you're watching me. I don't even know why you're interested in this, but like by all means get bent. Listen, girl, I'm angry. I am so angry. Here's the thing. When people aren't cool with like me being trans, or they're not cool with like the trans thing in general, like that's whatever. You're allowed to have your opinion. I'm sorry that you're so sad and that you are so ignorant, that you are bothered by what I'm doing in my own life. But when we are talking about the lives of children, when we are talking about our trans youth, our LGBTQ youth, and when you start to threaten their quality of life, then I get pissed. And then I'm going to take this personally, and then I'm going to lash out and I'm going to do what I got to do. There have been a number of amazing trans icons who have much more eloquently and much more patiently discussed their views and their feelings on Trump's reversal of the Title IX guidance and protections for transgender students. But I'm not going to be that girl. I'm just going to be real mad and just real raw with you. So if you want somebody who more eloquently and patiently and stoically is able to have this conversation, then please look to Laverne Cox. She had an amazing commentary on MSNBC recently. Janet Mock has had some amazing things to say, and Angelica Ross. I mean, girl, there are some amazing people who have amazing things to say, and I want you to go listen to them. If you're here for me, then you're here for my attitude, and you're here for my anger right now. So, girl, let's get into this. So here's my thing. Under Title IX, there is a list of sort of guidance and protections for trans students, especially for trans students who live in areas where there may not be as many resources for trans kids and for people who don't really know how to sort of navigate the trans space, who don't really know what to do with a transgender child. And it's more than just bathroom talk. People are getting all bent out of shape because they don't want trans girls in the girls' room and they don't want trans boys in the boys' room. And I'm going to get into the bathroom thing because that's a whole issue of its own. But Title IX protected students from not just their right to use the bathroom. I'm going to read off this list. Sorry that I don't have this memorized, but it's all good information. So beyond just like bathroom access for trans kids, Title IX also includes schools may not exclude students from school activities like graduation because they're trans. Schools may not punish students for not conforming to stereotypical notions of masculinity or femininity. And that would mean that if a trans girl came to school in, say, a skirt, assuming it is of the correct length and it follows guidelines under the school's sort of dress code, school cannot punish that student for coming dressed as their preferred gender or as their identity. Schools must give current and former students an opportunity to update their records with accurate name and gender information, and schools may not violate a current or former student's privacy through disclosing the student's trans identity to others. So basically, under Title IX, trans students are protected and schools are not allowed to discriminate against trans kids based on their gender, which is so important, especially for kids who live in more rural areas or parts of the country where there may be more conservatively minded people who have a stick up their butt about trans kids. Like I said, I'm really fueled about this. I'm really angry. So forgive me if my language is not PC, but I'm like really feeling myself right now and I am so enraged. So now that Trump has reversed this, we are now back to square one, and trans kids do not have these protections and they can be discriminated against if the school chooses to do so. I understand that this is now sort of removing federal protections and that we're now moving to like a state-based thing, which some people are like, cool. They're like, I would much rather my state decide how they're going to deal with their schools. I don't want like the full government to have a decision over this. With certain topics, I get that. Like personally, I don't really want my government deciding who and what and where and why and how I do things. But when it comes to discriminatory type situations, when it's coming to human rights type things, I don't see why it should be anybody's decision whether or not they can discriminate against me, whether they can decide whether or not I can graduate just because I'm a trans person. I don't believe in that. I don't see why that's right. And it isn't right. And it's horrible. And I am so upset with my country right now. So back to the bathroom situation though. The argument is that people are concerned about the safety of their children if there are trans people in the bathrooms. Here's my rebuttal. Here's my thing. I think it's really funny, and by funny I mean disgusting and stupid and ignorant, for people to think that just because they just now are acknowledging trans people, that we just suddenly exist and that we're just now using bathrooms. We've been using bathrooms since bathrooms have existed, because trans people have been around since people have existed. And just because people just now learned about Caitlyn Jenner or just now watched Orange is the New Black or know about Laverne Cox does not mean that trans people just suddenly started to exist. I'm really tired of this stupid narrative that suddenly trans people exist because you figured it out, that you learned that we are here, that you learned that we occupy space. And now that you see that we occupy space and that you know that we're here, suddenly it's an issue if we're using bathrooms or if we're using locker rooms or if we're just in the vicinity. I'm mad. It's ridiculous to me that all of a sudden there's going to be issues if we have a trans girl deciding to use the girls' bathroom, because I can assure you trans girls have been using the bathroom already, and there's never been an issue. The other situation here is that I have yet to see proof that there are trans people causing problems in bathrooms. I have seen cis people harassing trans people in the bathrooms. I have seen trans people getting beaten for using bathrooms, but I have yet to see a trans person or a case where a trans person has abused somebody in the restroom that they were using. Believe it or not, some of us trans people are using the bathroom just to shit and piss. I know, it's funny. And the fact that there are people who think I need to go into a men's restroom is absolutely beyond me. And why would you want a trans child in the men's restroom? A trans female in the men's restroom, more specifically. That's just going to cause problems for the child. But again, these are people who are not concerned about the lives of trans students, which again is why we have this Title IX guidance. The fact that Trump has reversed these guidelines is completely based in ignorance and fear and just a complete dismissal of trans life. This is not about safety. This is not about our fear for our young girls or our young guys or whatever. This is not about that. If people were actually concerned about the lives of their young children, then maybe we would be targeting grown men, grown cis men who target these young children, who target these young girls, because that is where it's coming from. If we're worried about rape and abuse and all these things in the bathrooms, if we're looking at those cases, that's who they're caused by. I'm trying to calm it down. I really am trying to calm it down right now. Whew! My concern is for our trans youth. When I was a child, when I was in school, and it really wasn't that long ago, I remember the bullying and I remember the harassment. The fact that there were guidelines to protect these students from that, that's amazing. I wish that had been around in my time. This fear about bathrooms is as much about bathrooms as it was about water fountains back during the civil rights movements. It's not. It's not an issue about trans people using the facilities. This is completely about cis people who have no idea, who have never met a trans person, who don't understand the trans experience, and who instead of wanting to learn about it and understand it, just want to sweep it under a rug and make sure that we do not occupy the same space and that we are again pushed out onto the fringes of society and just kept under a rock. For all of my young viewers who might be watching, particularly trans students, my heart is out there for you. I know that this might be scary for some of you. For others, I hope that this isn't going to affect your school experience and that you can go on, being yourself and feeling safe at school. For those of you who might be suffering, who are going to face dramatic changes because of this reversal of Title IX, my heart is out to you. I am here for you, and I want you to know that for as long as this horrible policy is up, for as long as your rights are being stripped right now, I promise there is a light at the end of this tunnel, and that you are you, no matter what people say, no matter how many rules or policies or restrictions they try to put on you. You're still you. You're still beautifully, wonderfully, completely you, and there's nothing they can do to change that. But I really do hope that America will come forward and understand that this is horrible and tragic for our trans kids, and I hope that we can learn from this, and this will just be another stupid mistake in our past. Like I said, I'm really angry, and I probably could have spoken a little better, more professionally, a little, whatever. It's just, it hits me so personally and so hard, and it's gross, but there is hope. And I'm so happy to see that there's been so much response to this, and that we do have, like I said earlier, there really are some amazing people out there and icons who are going to work so hard, including myself. We're going to work so hard to make sure that our voices are being heard, that the voices of the trans community are being heard, and that we are going to come out of this stronger and braver and just better overall. I'm sorry this video was not a little happier and was not my usual sort of bubbly, weird self. There'll be more of that in the future. Guys, please like and comment. Let me know your feelings about this. Let me know where you stand on this issue. If you're for this, if you're anti-trans, I don't really care to hear about it, but by all means, argue with me, come for me, because I'm in the right mood to fight. But for the rest of you, please comment and subscribe. Again, I'm here for you, and I love you, and you are beautiful. I love you. Mwah. Honestly, Trump he can just